listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Hello, and welcome back to Grave Discussions, your favorite horror podcast on the internet. I am Barnabas.
And I am Samael. And today, we'll be teaching you how to save 12% on your car insurance.
That's not what we're going to be doing.
That's false advertising. Can we go to jail for that?
I don't want to go to jail.
Barnabas is going to jail, guys.
No! So, today's episode is going to be all about A Quiet Place.
Yep. Wasn't what I expected. Initially, I thought it was going to be a paranormal movie for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why you thought that.
Fuck you. Anyways, then we went to go see it, and then I saw Creatures. And apparently, what is this, like a branch of like Cloverfield or some shit? Like, I have no idea.
I don't know, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to give you guys our full, hopefully spoiler-free review.
I'm gonna try. I may stumble, but I'll try not to spoil it.
Yeah, I mean, it just came out, so we know that a lot of people probably haven't seen it yet that want to go see it. So at the time of you listening to this podcast, it's probably going to be like the second weekend that it's open. So yeah, go check it out if you haven't. I'm not going to say anything, but I say that you need to go check out this movie.
Yeah.
But we're going to do that in our full review. First, we have horror news for you. So to lead off this batch of horror news, this was actually, I think, announced like a couple days ago or like last week or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this, so you told me.
But Joe Hill, who is the son of, well, one of the sons of Stephen King, legendary horror author and legendary horror mind. Joe Hill's got actually a bunch of books out. He's done The Fireman, Horns, the Lock and Key graphic novels. What else has he done? I don't know, he's done some other stuff, but one of his novels that a lot of his fans really like is Nosferatu, which is like a play on Nosferatu, and
which is a ripoff of Dracula.
Yeah, that's true.
What was the legality on that? Like, what was?
I mean, I don't know.
Did they like overstep any boundaries? Because when I watched that, and then I
mean, it wasn't like they didn't have actual Dracula in it. They like had Count Orlok, which is their own. So even though they basically ripped off Dracula and used like the same story structure and everything, they just changed like the character, like the villain. I don't think they could have actually sued them for like copyright or anything like that. And I don't really know how that stuff worked back then.
It's like what Offerings was to Halloween.
Like honestly, if you just change something just enough and you label it kind of like an homage movie, you can pretty much get away with it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's Halloween, except instead of Michael Myers, it's a zombie stalking people, but he's sentient. It's like, all right.
So yeah, I have not read this book personally, even though it's on my list. But I mean, I love all Stephen King stuff, so I'm sure I'll like it. But the book basically revolves around this artist who discovers that she has this ability to track this like seemingly immortal villain called Charlie Manx, who feeds off the souls of children and then like deposits them in some weird land or something like that. So it's like basically a vampire, like kind of like a spirit vampire. I don't even know how to describe it.
This sounds like a Stephen King story.
Yeah.
There's just always some dude and he's up to something and he's trapping people somehow somewhere, and then someone finds out about it. That's,
I don't know. Apparently the book is really good though, and it was just announced that AMC, the brand behind The Walking Dead, the network, they're picking up Nosferatu as a 10-part TV series
in 2019. Next year?
Yep, next year.
I thought we were still in 2017. I was like, bro, I don't want to wait 2 fucking years. Fucking retarded.
It's okay. But yeah, you were.
I know.
So yeah, next year, this should be coming out.
Look at these assholes. Hold on, let's look at these comments. Hold
Oh man, this was
Neat.
the worst.
I'd be
book.
happier if it were on Netflix or HBO, but if it has to be on cable, AMC is still a score. What's the difference if it's on AMC or HBO?
I don't know. It's just like quality. Like HBO has like more subjectively high quality shows like Game of Thrones and shit.
I mean,
like
I remember
that.
when I used to have, when
like Netflix
Comcast
kinda.
On Demand first came out. I mean,
Yeah.
we had HBO and like they played newer movies, but like it wasn't anything fucking special.
Yeah.
Like the others.
Well, because back then they didn't really have too many like HBO branded like TV series, and now they have like a lot that a lot of people really like.
I mean, I don't think I like
So-
any HBO series.
I don't know how many of you watched
I mean, I haven't heard of any, so doesn't that say
Game
enough?
of Thrones?
No, I don't watch that.
Yeah, well, you've heard of Game of Thrones.
I've heard of it. I
Yeah.
don't.
I really
I'm not
like
gonna
it.
fall into the fad.
I really like it
I can't fall into
because it's
it.
my thing.
I bet
Silicon Valley is also good. Veep is good.
Silicon Valley. What is that?
Yeah, it's a comedy
See,
with
man, like,
TJ whatever, like that dude from Deadpool.
we need to have like a horror channel, right?
There are horror
No,
channels.
but like we're like not big budget like cinema and not too independent to the point where they're like.
I mean,
recording
there's
it off
like
their phone.
there's like Chiller. Not a lot of people can get Chiller, but I think that
saying,
one's
like,
out there.
Maybe like on like a serious cable network, like Comcast or.
Well,
AT&T,
they're usually
but
like their own cable
'cause
network.
when FearNet
know.
disappeared, it felt like
Yeah, but FearNet was its own
I know.
channel
but
too.
I felt like I was like lost.
yeah. Like I said, I know Chiller is
what
out
was
there.
after
but
FearNet? I mean, I don't remember.
I think Chiller.
Was it Chiller?
Yeah. But I mean, not a lot of people have access to that channel,
Yeah.
Like you gotta like pay for that shit, or you
Which
gotta
is
have some
unfortunate.
kind of like package or something.
Man.
But anyway, yeah, AMC is picking up that Nosferatu series, so
That sounds
I
refreshing.
gotta read the book. But I mean,
That
it
sounds like
cool.
a really like 90s like Are You Afraid of the Dark type or Tales from the Dark
Yeah.
Side type esque to it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, speaking of the 90s, actually, I don't know if all of you remember, but Sam and I remember Gargoyles.
Oh, that was the shit.
Yeah. I used to watch that like every, I don't know, Saturday morning, whatever morning, like it came out with like new
Oh, yeah,
episodes.
it was like at 8 a.m.
Yeah. You would get up for that shit
What
though,
was it
because
on,
Gargoyles
what was
was
it
fire.
before it was CW50? What was it called? UPN. UPN.
Yeah, UPN.
UPN. That was the shit.
Yeah. So, what about Gargoyles? Well, I don't know how much news this is going to be to all you guys, but if you remember Gargoyles and you've seen it before and you like it, then you'll probably dig this bit of news.
That's why I got excited when I saw that shit.
Yeah. There's a new fan film about Gargoyles, but it's done by Carlos Ferrer, and yeah, it's just called Gargoyles fan film. So I just thought that was interesting because I loved the animated series, and actually this looks like it's live action, sort of. I don't know. It's probably like CGI or something. I don't know. That looks cool though.
Yeah, holy shit.
So yeah, if you liked the cartoon, then go check out the Gargoyles fan film on YouTube.
That's
Steph.
Carlos Ferrer.
Yeah. So that was pretty dope.
That was nice.
And
What's next?
Finally, this one is also pretty exciting.
Ooh.
Yeah, finally not like an
It
all
was released
bad,
today?
What? No, the casting
okay, I was
breakdown.
about to start fucking tripping, bro.
So, actually, the news about this movie has been out for like a little while, but today there's been kind of some updates about it. So today was released the casting breakdown for director Corin Hardy's The Crow reboot. So yeah, this reboot has been actually talked about a little bit, but there was nothing much really in the way of like the casting or anything. So we do have that today, and apparently revealed some interesting narrative changes from the original 1994 film. So let me see here. The film is actually going to start filming in July of this year in Budapest. So that already is interesting. And undertaking the lead role of Eric Draven, made famous by the late Brandon Lee, rest in peace.
Damn, bro. Feels.
Is Jason Momoa. I actually didn't hear about this.
Shit. For real?
Yeah.
That's fucking sick. I didn't know about that.
That is pretty cool. It's kind of...
This is our sight read, guys. We didn't.
Yeah. No, we did. I haven't
This is
read
surprise news. And look at this. Hold on. Top Dollar, played in the original by actor Michael Wincott, will now be portrayed by a woman. Ooh.
That's interesting.
That's going to be interesting as shit. They really flipped the fucking script, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be a good or bad thing. It doesn't actually say who's going to be portraying the woman, Top Dollar.
They're
but
still doing castings for this movie, apparently. So.
I believe so. But then there's mention of some other characters that are going to be in the film. And apparently the character of Skank from the original, I don't remember that much, but is not going to be in this film. Now supplanted by someone named Ratso, a wannabe T-Bird who dreams of being number one. So there's a couple of descriptions of the new characters and even Top Dollar and T-Bird who are going to be in the film. But and that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, I don't know. Because Brandon Lee as the Crow, like, he was like imposing, but not because he was like a big dude or anything, just because he like was fucking crazy. And he was like back from the, like, he was undead or whatever.
He was calm tempered too, like.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah. But Jason Momoa is like big as fuck, and he's like scary because he's like buff,
That's the motherfucker that played Aquaman, right?
Yeah.
Why would they pick? They tried to turn Aquaman from this like petty character into this like scary force, and now they're gonna turn Crow from this like imposing force to this just big bulk.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he's like a pretty good actor, but I just can't imagine him with like wearing the big black trench coat with like the face paint on. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna seem weird to me. So
and he's gonna seem like one of those like Aztec warriors rather than like
So this kind of feels more like I want to appeal to everybody that's like watching big Hollywood movies and loves Jason Momoa and shit right now.
I mean, I think
instead of like
just
casting,
draws.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's gonna make money because of him.
They should have just picked Ben Affleck.
Yeah, right. No, that'd be too weird.
Why not Johnny Depp? That dude can play anything.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting choice. At least he looks more like physically similar to Brandon Lee, because he's not like
and with the face,
huge.
like he could probably like catch those same facial expressions.
Yeah, but Brandon Lee as the Crow was also like a younger guy, so I don't know. Obviously, they're kind of going off script here because like Top Dollar's a woman now.
Johnny Depp can look young in any role, bro. He could play a teenager right now.
You're probably right.
He should have just played himself in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake instead of that like weird looking like kid that looked like he'd been drugged out for half of eternity.
Oh yeah, I hate that guy. I do. I mean, every time he's in a horror movie, I'm like, dang, this is either gonna be okay or just really fucking bad.
He always looks like he's about to cry.
Yeah, I know. This is like how his face is
like
constructed.
Someone like just always stole a lollipop from him.
Man, I don't know. So
thank God he's not in this.
I know.
Damn, what if they put him as the Crow? I could see it.
Oh my God, that would be terrible.
That would be fucking horrible.
That would make sense though, because he'd always be like depressed.
Right?
I don't know, man. But anyway, that's
I want to watch the original one tonight.
Yeah, the Crow is sick. But I don't know how I feel about the casting announcements. Obviously, they're going in kind of a different route than the original film.
Well, it's a reboot, right? So
I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to change like all the characters around and shit,
Well, they changed, what was it? 2 of them?
Yeah. But like the main characters.
I mean, you seen the Friday the 13th remake, they switched out.
They just made
it into one film. That was like basically part 2 and 3 put together into one with a completely different setting, completely different story, completely different people. There was no axe to the head. Him finding the hockey mask from a nerdy kid. He took it from some hillbilly that stole weed and fucks a doll. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But no, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of excited for it, but with how it's changed, I don't know. Because, see, for me, it feels like when they do reboots all the time and shit, that a lot of the times, they want to do something a little different, even though they want to try to, like, kind of have an homage to the original film.
I don't think it's going to feel like The Crow.
Yeah, because when you think of...
I mean, maybe in, like, 5 years after this comes out, when you ask people about The Crow, like, younger people might think of this one, but we'll always think about the real Crow.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see, but... I don't think there's a release date for the reboot yet, but we'll try to keep up with it and keep you guys updated.
Yes. We'll be here.
So, right now we're going to move on and we're going to get to the terrifying trailer of the week.
This one looks interesting.
Yeah.
It looks like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre type shit.
Apparently it's inspired by it and like The Hills Have Eyes. It's made by the filmmakers of this movie called Francesca, which I've not seen, but Luciano and Nicholas Onetti. So I think it's a foreign film because at least it sounds like it.
Yeah, the Onetti brothers, you know.
Yeah.
It says they leave their 70s Italian giallo influences aside and dive deep into a classic slasher roadie inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes. Mm-hmm. You have to see this new trailer.
The synopsis basically says it follows a group of young people that take a trip to the ruins in order to film a documentary about Epicuene. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Epicuene? Epicuene.
Apparently, it was one of the most important touristic villages of Argentina. On November 10th, 1985, a huge volume of water broke the protecting embankment and the village was submerged under 10 meters of salt water. It disappeared. And then, 30 years later, the waters receded and the ruins of Epicuene emerged, exposing a bleak and deserted landscape. The residents never returned. But this film group goes there to film a documentary about it. And after a brief tour, they get stranded in the abandoned village, and then they realize that they are not alone. So it sounds
this sounds promising. I think horror movies are gonna be making a comeback pretty soon.
Yeah, bro, and I mean, there's always good stuff coming out in indie, like the independent movie scene, you know.
If the independent movie makers, like, if they just made enough money for them to have like better equipment, you know what I'm saying? Like if they had like the same equipment as the person who
it's not necessarily that they don't have the same equipment, but
I mean, it seems that the quality seems like a bit different. Like when you watch an independent film from,
they definitely.
Let's say Woman in Black, for example, had great cinematography.
They definitely have a smaller budget, but you know that a lot of like Hollywood blockbuster movies may like look better in quality, quote unquote. Oh, yeah, probably just because they have a bigger budget. Because in editing, they just edit the shit out of it and like make it look nice, and they have all that CGI and shit. But that's why like independent cinema, especially like horror, looks more gritty. They might have the same kind of equipment more or less, but yeah, and like
I like that
blockbusters, they might have access to like better equipment to do like more crazy shit, you know.
I like that grittiness, so I don't like.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know, some like, what'd you call it? That grindhouse feel.
Yeah, I mean for some films maybe, like the one we're gonna talk about later.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know. It really just kind of depends on like the editing and like how they shoot it, because Hollywood movies always kind of have that like typical cinematography and like shots, you know. But anyway, we're gonna check out the trailer for What the Waters Left Behind is the title of this one. So you can check this out on YouTube as always. Just What the Waters Left Behind 2018 official trailer. So we're gonna check this out. We're gonna stop it periodically and kind of give our thoughts, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Inca. What is that?
Yeah. Instituto Nacional. Yeah, it's definitely for me.
This looks good.
Yeah. See, some college kids, basically.
Time to eat them.
All right, so right off the bat, it's got basically college kids or like, you know, young, early 20s like people that are part of this documentary film crew that come here. Yeah. Millennials. But we always like to see that because that's how you kind of know it's going to be like that kind of style horror film, you know?
Oh, yeah, right off the bat, you see candles and all these weird like ox heads and shit, and you're like, oh man, nobody sane lives wherever this fucking poor bastard is, you know? Like,
it kind of feels like it's gonna be like one of those really gory horror movies, like The Hills Have Eyes.
Like they're gonna put a hook in someone's back and then just drag them halfway across the fucking tomb, hang them upside down by their heels.
Pretty much.
If you move, this hook will take out both of your testicles. Like that type of shit.
So let's continue, but it looks good so far. Like it looks like it's got that kind of like classic slasher style, you know?
Oh shit.
See that dude with the chainsaw and like the fucking deer skull?
Yeah, that was sick.
It's got very clear inspirations. I feel like to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even the trailer looks. I mean,
even look at the family. They're all just laughing out of their fucking minds,
crazy.
torturing people. Look, they got a girl tied up and they're laughing in her face, just like the fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This looks good so far.
Like, it looks kind of. It's like it's gonna be more of like a ritual killer kind of thing.
And it doesn't. I don't know. The atmosphere seems to differ with like every single shot.
Yeah, sort of.
I don't know, like...
It actually kind of reminds me of the Devil's Rejects, too. Like, it's got that kind of style. Like, you know, you have some shots that are, like, of, like, the desert or, like, whatever, like, barren. And it's just, like, the college kids and stuff. And then you've got, like, these dark-ass scenes where it's just, like, them trapped and being tortured.
I think the daytime is trying to, like, give you, like, this false sense of security. Like, maybe there's hope for them. Yeah. And then once they get to the place that they were initially going to, and all hell breaks loose, you're like... Oh, that was to prepare me for this horrific shit I'm about to see. Like, okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's see what else we got.
All right, let's see. Yeah, we're going to finish this up here. We only got about 30 more seconds, and then we'll go our final thoughts. Shit.
What the fuck?
That's some, like, hostile
It
type
already
shit.
came out.
Yeah, I don't know.
We should look for
this. It says March 2018.
I'm going to look for this online. I'm going to see if I can find a
DVD
or something.
Well, this one just says the article is on April 3rd. It says I have released a series of posters and a new trailer for the next film. The March 2018 could very well just be an official like festival release date, like a worldwide release date if they're showing it at some festivals or something. And it might not actually be like out for everybody.
What is this? Hold on. There's a comment. Not that. Scroll up. Fucking asshole. Isn't there another similar version of this film already out there? Yeah, the Spanish Chainsaw Massacre. No wonder we say there's nothing original being done anymore.
I don't know. I mean, this looks kind of like its own movie. Like, there are lots of horror films that very clearly have direct influences and may kind of have a similar structure to other films. Like, we see that literally all the time.
Look at this guy. This guy says he wants more substance than it just being a well-made Latin version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not the same thing. Yeah. Since when was the plot of the Texas... Yo, we're going to go get a documentary of this city, right? Hopefully there's no cannibal murderers there. Like, no, that's not what happened. It's different. It's maybe some of the elements were inspired by, the chainsaw, the tying up people, like the crazy family. But like, obviously.
But I mean, this looks like it's more of like this ritual kind of thing going on.
She had like a fucking pentagram on her head.
Yeah, which the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not. So it is giving it a new kind of spin. But it's not like it's a blatant ripoff or something. So yeah, I don't know about that comment, but it's called What the Waters Left Behind. I think it looks pretty fucking good.
Or the Spanish version, Los Olvidados.
Yeah.
I don't know how...
Sí.
Anyway. Any fucking way. No.
Anyway, it's...
I think I said that already. No.
I know. It's got an official release date in Argentina of March 8th, 2018. So I guess it's out there if you can find it somewhere, but I don't see a U.S. release date yet. I mean, unless that's the international, but it just is Argentina. So I'm assuming we're still waiting to see if there is a U.S. release date. And actually,
looks like there was one in New Zealand, bro.
Yeah.
You trying to have a road trip?
Mexico had it already at a festival.
The UK, look, November 16th. So we could probably find it.
Possibly. Sometimes
we're not from the UK, by the way.
I know. Sometimes from the festivals, it's
I know
difficult,
you know.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's still actually coming out in other festivals, but the Argentina release does not specifically say it was a festival, so it could very well be out there. Yeah, try to look for it.
Bro, Peru got it, and we don't got it. Yeah, there's no hope.
They usually release some of the stuff last because, as you can see, they're still doing festivals. Usually they wait until they complete their festival circuit before they release it in like the U.S. like widely, So if you didn't know that about how the festivals and distribution and stuff works,
thank
then
you. Now I'm probably not gonna look for it.
Then that's pretty much,
bro.
yeah. You're welcome, because once it actually comes out, then you can look for it.
You broke me.
No, I'm not sorry. So right,
you hear this shit?
yeah, I don't treat him very well, but it's okay.
Anyway.
We are going to move on right now, but yeah, if you're interested, check out that trailer if you didn't watch it along with us, and let us know what you think about it. Right now, we're going to get into the Cult Corner.
It sounds like an evil sheep.
Yeah.
Let me redo that. Mwahaha. See, that was a little bit more evil.
Now you don't quite sound evil, but you're still a sheep. So today's movie is a really, not really obscure, but quite obscure.
It's a cult movie.
It's definitely a classic for like true horror fans.
I remember the first time I heard about this, I was watching an Angry Video Game Nerd episode.
Yeah.
And he's like, have you ever seen Basket Case? Never mind. And I always wondered like what this movie was about.
It's pretty low key, but like real horror fans probably know about it and probably have seen it. It came out in 1982, so right around
the golden era.
Yeah, like 81 with Evil Dead and everything.
Oh man, yeah.
But this movie obviously is not quite as popular as those and didn't get as much traction. I don't know if it's just because it was surrounded by like all these other more popular horror movies, or I don't know. This movie was pretty fucking disturbing. Yeah, and it was like micro budget, like $35,000 I think was the budget for this movie.
I think so. Yeah, I think I would keep that.
So it was probably not as widely distributed and marketed. So I am not surprised, and it's just fucking weird. So I'm not surprised that all those other movies
have
like
sequels too.
It. Yeah, there's a Basket Case 2 and a Basket Case 3 as well, and I think that's all of it.
What is that? Warning. Looks like another weird ass movie.
Oh, the Stuff. Yeah. Stuff is pretty weird.
Is it something like this?
Not quite.
Or is it like about goo?
It's like this.
It's about goo. Okay.
Stuff. But anyway, Basket Case is really a classic cult horror film, and for pretty good reason. It's just odd. Like it's really like unsettling.
You didn't
know?
expect the thing that you saw. Well, you didn't really see it, but you sort of saw that someone got killed by some sort of monster thing. And then the next scene is just some drug dealer trying to sell this weird looking guy who's carrying around a basket, some opiates and stuff and anything that he wants. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect for what happened to happen. And what's in the basket is his former conjoined twin that doctors had cut off of him. Yeah. And so apparently now he's just taken his evil, deformed Siamese twin brother Belial to all the doctors that helped separate them, and he's having them killed. Belial's a weird name to choose. Why would you name your? Why would you name your son?
Because he looks like the fucking devil if he got like pulverized, you know.
Fun fact: Belial was another name for the angel Samael. Hint, hint.
So yeah, like he's just carrying around this like thing that doesn't even look human in this basket. So right from the get go, when you just like see the basket, it's like this huge basket. You're like, what could possibly be in there? Because it's just this like weird guy. Like he's weird, you know, because he's never like been with anybody except his twin brother. They have like this psychic connection. He's super antisocial.
He's always like giving him telekinetic messages, waking him up to talk.
And he basically controls him. Yeah, you know, because they have this like psychic connection, and he's like a fucking monster.
He looks so weird too. Like you didn't expect. He kind of changes throughout the movie. You see him get like a more human appearance. Yeah. I don't know what that's for. The most human appearance he had when he was trying to rape that one chick near the end of the movie. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The practical effects are just exactly what you would expect from the early 80s, which I love.
At one point, it was so cheesy. You could actually see that the monster hand was someone with a rubber monster glove on. It was so fucking great.
Because like the
budget was like $30,000.
Yeah. Which they probably spent most of it on the practical thing for the actual character of Belial.
And then the rest of it for like renting out that hotel.
Yeah, because they actually had to use like some CGI or like, you know, some computer generated effects or, you know, whatever to make Belial move, because he's just basically this like stump with arms.
But you kind of feel for him,
like, oh yeah.
From a perspective, you could see them as the protagonists. I mean, it's not their fault.
Everybody thought that he was like evil,
bro. They threw the thing away, like it wasn't a person.
Exactly, just because it like looked. I mean, in a way, I can see it because he is truly terrifying to look at. Yeah. He's got these like monster teeth, like sharp teeth, like no human being has that shit. But still, like technically, he was a person, even if he was like this deformed, conjoined twin. But they have to like throw his ass out. The father was the worst because he was just like, "That's not my child."
Yeah, that was fucking.
You know, like damn, like you're really gonna feel like that? That's why he grew up evil and like killed you and shit.
Yeah, bro. Like people don't just. I mean, I think this.
If I told my normal-looking son that, he'd probably want to kill me too.
Right? He'd probably beat you to death with a hammer in your fucking sleep.
Hell yeah.
No kid wants to be rejected by like the person they're supposed to learn everything from. You know.
So there's actually some like really relevant themes present in this movie, which is why I like it, because the whole like rest of the movie is like really cheesy and like really like bad kind of, because like the acting is oh my god, the acting. It's so over the top and like it really terrible.
It's like some fucking, I don't know, bro. Like it, just the way everyone acted. Like the screams were like, it's like, all right, we get it, you're scared, and like even the dialogue like between two characters was just cheesy. Like fucking stupid. Like the only good part about the acting is when he was talking to that what was her the chick with the short hair, and he was telling her about his brother. Yeah, he was just laughing the whole time
because he was like drunk.
Yeah. But then, like you like slowly, you see the look of dread on her face. Like, is he guy being fucking serious right now?
Like, how would you think of a story like that?
Yeah, like I don't think you just do it. And then they went in his room and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know, man. This thing was fucking disturbing, and I think if they remade this now, it would make a really good movie.
I don't even know how they could remake it now and capture like the same essence of the film.
No, man. It was just a really weird flick.
Yeah, like the way that he screamed was
terrifying. Pretty much. That's like how he fucking. Well, he would.
It was terrifying. Like, the kills were so cool. Loud. Yeah, the kills were.
The kills were cool. He would you'd see him grab someone by the face and then tear, and then you'd see like a gash in their head that looked like a real gash.
But it was definitely that like cheesy 80s practical effects, like blood makeup.
That was great. Shit. Like, this is a bad movie. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, but it's a classic.
But it is like it captures that that classic 80s, the cheese ball essence. That's what I like to call it, the cheese ball essence. Yeah. Movies like this, and Evil Dead was actually really good though, but it still had like the cheese ball stuff, essence. Like the over exaggerated stuff. Yeah. Like everything was over exaggerated.
Stuff like Demons.
Yeah.
Demons had that cheese ball factor too, for sure.
And this movie just touched upon like, I don't know, I think just how cruel humans can be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's why I kind of like it, because it's actually got kind of like those deeper themes, like hating somebody for the way that they look and like basically disowning them and making them feel like not human and shit, Like, no wonder he became evil and like wanted to kill everybody.
Yeah, it's a story of every horror movie. Everyone gets someone gets treated a fucked up way, and then people get surprised when they snap. Like,
so he kind of is a monster in a way. We were talking about
this. He's a physical monster, but like
man becoming a monster.
He was a monster becoming a monster, but because he wasn't really a monster. Like
he tried to have these emotions, and he was jealous of his brother for feeling them. That's why when his brother like started becoming close with that girl, like the secretary or whatever, that's in the movie. Yeah, that's why he killed her, and that's why Dwayne, who was the normal brother, like he became emotional and finally something other than my brother that I can care about. Yeah. And then he took her away, and then he became angry and wanted to kill Belial too. So yeah, I don't know. There was just a lot more like deepness to this movie than you might think, like looking at it from the surface, but it definitely also had that like really cheesy like 80s quality. So.
It was like super, super cheesy. Yeah. Even the blood, like it was just like too much of it at some point. Like,
but yeah, if you're a fan of like these kind of movies, or you just want to watch like a cult classic, prepare to be really disturbed.
What was that movie with the killer monkey rat that bit someone?
Oh, Brain Dead.
Brain Dead, yeah. What was the other name?
Or Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. There we go.
Alive, yeah.
I remember I watched that.
That was crazy. That was basically the same kind of thing.
Yeah, if you like Dead Alive, if you've ever seen that,
you'll probably
like this. And if you've seen neither, watch both.
Oh yeah. they're both classics.
Like, don't eat if you're watching these. Though.
Yeah, no. Oh, especially not Dead Alive. That shit was gross.
Oh, man. When her fucking
Yeah,
shit popped
I don't
on her
even
face into the soup, and he was like, nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
Oh,
shit.
it's so gross. That's great. That's fucking great.
Yeah, it was. But definitely check that out. But Basket Case right now is not quite as difficult to find as Dead Alive is. You can watch Basket Case on Shudder, which we're not endorsed by them or anything, but I highly recommend Shudder to all of you horror fans if you are not aware of it yet or you haven't subscribed. It's only like $5 a month, and it's basically Netflix but for all horror movies, and they have a lot more like obscure shit.
We found a lot more 80s slashers that we haven't even heard about.
Yeah.
So we might discuss one of these for the Cult Corner, or maybe even a few of them, because we have a lot of options for supernatural movies, killer movies. They break them down into categories, by the way. Yeah. So I'm probably going to just binge watch tonight until I fall asleep throwing up in my own hands.
Thinking about Dead Alive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But no, for go check out Shudder. Basket Case is right on there. You can watch it, and it's excellent. But speaking of monster type shit and good movies,
yes,
we are now going to give you our full review, hopefully spoiler free, of A Quiet Place.
Been waiting for this.
Oh yeah, we've been talking about this movie for actually a while now, and last week's episode on monster films was kind of a lead up to A Quiet Place.
Yeah, see, we have some construct. These aren't just random podcasts. We're always leading up to something, so pay close attention. If we're talking about slasher movies, we might review a slasher. We might not. We might just shift a whole 180 on you and go the opposite direction.
You never know. I'm going to fake you out.
Yeah, we're not very reliable.
So, but no, we've been talking about A Quiet Place for a while now, and finally we've seen it. We're going to review it just like we promised, and we hope that this is going to be a good episode for you guys because of this, because I know a lot of people have been really excited for this movie because it actually finally looked like a good, like, big movie, like a big Hollywood movie.
That wasn't gonna be total fucking shit.
That wasn't garbage, and
it wasn't.
It was not garbage at all.
It was the furthest thing from fucking garbage.
It was really good.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna break it down for you guys in a little segment I'd like to call the breakdown. See, I'm not very clever, but I'm technical.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. So, A Quiet Place was directed by John Krasinski, who you might better know as Jim Halpert from The Office. Talk about a 180. You go from
crazy.
Fucking Jim.
I remember we talked about this. I think you told me this while we were on our way to go see this.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people kind of liked it, because he's been in some more serious stuff recently.
But you wouldn't expect this shit.
Yeah, but a horror movie, like, when you think of John Krasinski, even with like his appearances in some more recent stuff like dramas, you pretty much know him as Jim, so you know him more of like as a comedy actor. But he's actually a really well-rounded filmmaker, and he was the director for A Quiet Place, and I give him like mad props for this movie because I think he succeeded like really well, and this was his first time as a director as well, so especially for that, like, damn.
And apparently I'm a fucking dumbass because I didn't know this was going to be a monster movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't, like, completely obvious. Like, it was pretty ambiguous as to what was going on because you never really see the monster.
I mean, I just assume because, like, every horror movie that comes out now, with the exception of The Strangers recently, because that was a slasher, everything is really kind of paranormal now. There's some sort of paranormal entity that comes along. Yeah. And starts killing people or starts haunting people.
The Conjuring, Annabelle, Ouija.
Oh my god! Enough.
Yeah,
we got a lot of demon movies, even like the low key ones on Hulu. Like, I see you, I'm not gonna watch you. I've seen enough. Like, we need to have this variety. Like, and I from seeing the trailer, you just see people make a noise.
Yeah. I
didn't assume it was gonna be what it was. I thought it was gonna be like demons. Oh, you make a noise and the demons find you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like post-apocalyptic type shit.
It is. Basically, the movie is about a family who is attempting to survive in this basically post-apocalyptic world. Like, from the beginning of the film, actually, it said it was like day 83 or something, and then it was like a year later. So whatever has been going on has only apparently been going on in this film for like a year. So it's like pretty new, but basically they live in a post-apocalyptic world, and you can't really tell like where they are or anything. Obviously they're probably somewhere like in America because they speak English, but you don't really know where, or like, and you don't really know what else has been going on in the world around them, but you can probably assume that most other people have been wiped out.
Yeah, because you don't really see anybody other than that. Remember that old guy and his wife, when he saw his wife was dead, and he did that. I'm trying not to give spoilers here. All right,
but there aren't that many other characters in this film, so it's pretty isolated. You know, like it's really just about this family, and the reason that they appear to have survived for so long is because they've been smart and they've developed some tendencies to not make noise. But it's implied that really any kind of like sound above a whisper is dangerous. Like it's going to draw something.
Unless you're near like running water.
Yeah, like something else that's louder.
Yeah.
But whatever this thing is, like it can hear really fucking well, and it's like really vicious and dangerous.
And that led the family to completely rely on sign language to communicate.
Yeah.
Which is convenient as shit because their daughter, the oldest one, she's deaf.
Yeah, which is probably how they know sign language in the first place.
Like I said, they're just fortunate to
know
it. Yeah, so they didn't have to learn it. They didn't have to start whispering, "Can you pass me the carrots?"
Right.
Like,
yeah,
it was just like, I wouldn't say good luck because she's deaf, obviously, but it was luck
for the situation. Like, it's definitely convenient. But that silence is one of the biggest themes in this movie, obviously, because they have to rely on it pretty much completely in order to survive, which is not actually a new concept in horror in general, because, if you're confronting like a killer or a monster or something, obviously you don't want to make noise. But, it's apparent that whatever this thing is that they're attempting to survive from, it can like hear you from like miles away or something, so you really can't make any noise. Like,
if you drop a spoon, you'll be human soup.
Yeah, pretty much.
These things,
you'll be able to eat yourself with that spoon.
No spoilers, but if these things touch you once, you're gone.
Yeah, basically. We're not really gonna get into too much like what the monster is and stuff, but there is a monster. That much is obvious.
I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah,
so
I don't know, but
it's a fucking monster. Think of the worst thing you can think of. And that's what's going to be in this movie.
Yeah.
The source of all your nightmares is going to be in this movie.
But, I mean, the use of silence in this film because of that.
Oh, it was so effective.
It was so effective.
You were always on edge, like, yo, you're just waiting for someone to drop something or, like, sneeze.
Yeah.
How do they sneeze?
I have no idea. Probably, like, into a pillow or something.
Or how do they cough?
Probably like into a pillow, or they don't. They've overcome having to cough.
They're just like, the monster's like, well, that clearly sounds like someone dying. So I'm
like
not gonna...
basically everybody has a panic attack. Somebody has to sneeze and shit.
Right? You just shoot him in the fucking forehead, like, the fuck is this?
And then you draw the monster to you anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you got a silencer for some reason or something. But I feel like they could probably hear that too. Anyway, but the silence was super effective because it built that suspense. And it did it super well because they didn't even really use any music, at least during like those parts. That was kind of one of the cool dynamics, because really the film is about being silent so you can survive. But there were parts of the film where it became like more action packed, and when stuff actually happened, that they would use music, which I thought was interesting, because when you're trying to have a movie like this, like you really have to plan out like, okay, this is happening. We want to build the suspense here. Okay, finally something happens and like there's a noise made or something. So we're going to like blast you with this creepy music.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it was quiet, but it wasn't boring. Like I said, there was dialogue, but it was just all sign language. So if you don't like reading, you won't like this movie. Yeah.
I mean, it was still really, really fucking good though. And I just love the contrast. Eventually, well, okay, I'm not going to say this. But the question that we addressed on the last episode when we watched the trailer for it, whether or not they were going to use dialogue in the film, that is answered in the film, but I'm not going to say really what happens. It's not like a huge spoiler.
We kind of hinted earlier.
Yeah.
We kind of said, hint, hint, you got to be around louder sounds to be able to talk. Hint, hint.
So, I mean, it's not like a huge spoiler, but it is actually a pretty important part of the film because really, I mean, they can speak, obviously, but their freedom to do so is restricted because of this, like, otherworldly, like, being, like, this unknown presence, you know? So, like, one of their basic freedoms is just gone. And you have to try to survive, like, in that and just basically never have actual dialogue with each other, especially when it's your family. Like, that's tough, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not with your, like, deaf mute daughter because you're used to signing with her, but, like, you can't even talk to, like, your wife or your husband or whatever. Like, you can't talk to your other, like, son who can hear. Like, that's, I don't know, man. That would just suck.
Yeah. There's a lot of internal conflict in this movie, too.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the major themes of this movie was guilt. I can't really elaborate on why, but one of the characters feels very responsible for something.
Even just the fact, like, I feel like this movie did a good job of exploring how a special needs child, like, thinks and operates and feels because, you know, she was really beating herself up a lot in this movie. Yeah. Not only because of the thing that you mentioned, which we won't spoil for you guys, but even just as, like, her own existence as a deaf mute person, you know, like, she has to rely on this hearing aid that her father keeps trying to build for her to make it work better. And it never works. And eventually she just gets angry, but, like, not at him, but at herself. Like, you know, why was I born with this, like, curse is probably what she's thinking.
Yeah.
You know? And it just explores, like, that theme a lot and explores how her family feels about that and about her, which is really good. Honestly, it's like, I would say it's probably more of like a not a family movie, but like a thriller that focuses on the family rather than just being like a creature feature.
Yeah.
You know,
the family seemed to be the focal point of this whole movie because, like, it didn't go into detail about anything else. That's what I liked. That was good because they didn't go into, like, this huge backstory, which I don't think it's a good thing that they didn't go into the backstory right away. Sometimes it is if you didn't anticipate so many prequels and...
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they didn't really explore, like, that much, honestly. Like, it was really just about the family dynamic and, like, their role and what's going on and, like, their survival, you know? Because it really didn't talk about the monster, like, almost at all.
Yeah.
And it didn't really describe, like, what else was happening in the world, really. Like, there was a point where you could kind of see, like, these snippets of, like, newspapers and stuff that obviously whatever was going on I don't know, like, maybe all over the world, but, you know, at least, like, in like the same, like, region or whatever.
I mean, they couldn't get a signal from anywhere. Remember India and all those places?
Yeah. So I guess it's probably like worldwide.
I guess they kind of explained it implicitly, but I like that they didn't go into the backstory of the being or of the families or any of that for that matter. But then again, that leaves room for, like, a prequel with the whole backstory, and then we gotta wait another 3 years to see the sequel to this one. And then
there was actually an article that the writers apparently had ideas for, like, more films and, like, a franchise. I don't know if they're actually gonna plan on doing that, but they have ideas. And with the ending of the film, which, you know, we won't spoil, and what the movie did not explore really with what was happening in the world and with this thing, I could see that there could be more films in like a franchise.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I want there to be, though.
Yeah, because it's gonna, you know, like, what else are they gonna do? It's just gonna be the same movie.
I just don't want it to start lacking substance, you know, because it's trying to explore, like, all this other random shit.
Hey man, if you want to make more money, you gotta drop the substance and jump over the shark.
Apparently, yeah.
You gotta jump over a shark, bro.
I hope they don't do it. And I also saw an article about this same studio, Platinum Dunes, that said that they're going to try not to do any more, like, reboots and stuff like that, which if they made a sequel to this, it wouldn't be a reboot. But I think you could almost kind of do the same thing with, like, I think sequels and prequels and stuff.
I think they could, if they make another movie, they could do it maybe from another survivor's perspective.
Yeah, that could be cool.
It's like how they're doing with The Walking Dead, you know?
Yeah, they could have, like, kind of the same, in the same universe, like kind of what Cloverfield is doing almost. But yeah, from a different, like, perspective.
But then what's the point? How do you get to the end? What happens?
Right, yeah.
You know? Then it's just going to drag on.
Is there a resolution? Yeah.
Walking Dead's going to last forever, bro. I stopped watching after
me too.
The governor got killed.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, because this is like a worldwide thing, theoretically this could also have like a shit ton of movies. So I almost kind of hope that they don't, unless they plan on completely resolving everything in like a sequel. But I don't know. I don't think any of like kind of sequel prequel will match up to this, just because like this is its own story, and I think that the family that was portrayed was actually really interesting, especially because they all had to pretty much, a lot of them have to learn ASL in order to use it in this film and like be able to understand what the girl was saying.
Yeah.
So that added this completely new dynamic, because usually they're probably used to speaking. So that really says a lot about their acting ability.
Big time.
Especially because John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, who plays the wife, are actually married in real life, I believe. So like
really?
they probably practice with themselves. Like they already have that family dynamic, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because they're married. So, I mean, so that makes complete sense. But yeah, there's both really incredible actors, and they had to be able to like portray that fear pretty much like just on their faces, you know, and like all those emotions because they couldn't speak. So I think that was really cool. Yeah. And that was like another reason why silence was so effective in this movie.
Another great thing about this movie is it only has like one jump scare.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really have a lot at all.
Basically, I'm not going to spoil it, but when you see them raccoons, you better get ready.
Yeah. That was pretty much it. And like there was only like maybe one other one, and it didn't even feature the monster. So yeah, I really like that aspect because, you know, it could have taken advantage of the silence and done some dumbass jump scares with like loud noises, but it didn't really do that. Whenever you would see this thing, it was present more in like the shadows, like in the background, which I think is what cinematographers should be doing when they do horror films, you know, because that's what cinematography is all about, you know, lighting, kind of more like subtle camera movements.
Yeah, that's
backgrounds.
I was gonna allude to that, the subtle camera movements. Even in the really, really fast-paced scenes, you were easily able to like see what was going on. Like it wasn't like in the movies where there's quick camera movements and then you see one shot of the back of the character's heels running and then you see dirt fall and then like you see them look up for a split second and then there's flashes. Like no, this like it kept up with like the main character. Like even when they were sprinting their asses off. Yeah. Like it kept up with them, like from a front view, back view, but it was like consistent. You know, there was no like there was no shaking of the camera. Right. There was none of those stupid flashes that they have in a lot of movies like that like making it seem like, you know, you got tunnel vision. You know, right. Like they're trying to make you feel like the character, I guess, which isn't really effective if I'm just having an epileptic seizure and I can't see what's going on the screen. Yeah. Like, I'm not being chased by this guy. Calm down. I'm not experiencing the shock. Just show me what's going on. Like,
yeah, like I just want to see what's happening, you know. I want to be curious.
I'm glad there was no shaky camera and just erratic camera movements. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I hate in movies nowadays. Like especially in like movies like, let's say for example, any kind of cannibal hillbilly movie where there's a chase and the camera's just like showing how close the cannibal's getting to the person, but from the front view, and you see the look of dread on their face, like, is he right behind me? But then the camera's like being held by like a 3-year-old with Parkinson's. Like,
yeah, you're right though. Yeah, the cinematography was excellent, and it's, you know, even in all the shots that weren't like quick or like action heavy, which was honestly most of the film. A lot of the cinematography was really focused on the faces of the characters themselves. Yeah. Because that's really what it was all about. You know, without dialogue, you have to be able to portray emotions and feelings like in another way. So that'll be on your face. And so I think they did a really good job of showing how the characters felt, using the cinematography to kind of get in close. And yeah, I don't know.
They really put an emphasis on like, when you actually saw the creatures, though, like when you see them running up, like you would catch glimpses of it, but when they were finally in the screen, we had those close up shots of its face at certain points. Mm-hmm. But then you had those like as it enters into the room, you had that really, really low shot, the camera on the floor shot, as its legs are walking by, you know, and like that kind of made you think like, holy shit, you know, this is a big thing. This is the powerhouse of the movie, you know?
Yeah. The cinematography was not like in your face, especially during like those scenes. That's what I mean when it was subtle, you know, like you'd see stuff in the background, you see stuff from like low cut angles or like, you know, diagonal angles and stuff like that, like just shadows in the background. So it was really effective, and I think that's what more horror movies should be doing.
Yeah.
Because like sure, you could take advantage of silence and then just have some like loud ass jump scare and just throw like monsters or whatever like in people's faces, and yeah, you'll probably get some screams and stuff, but it's not necessarily because what's happening is actually scary. It's just because you're jolting somebody's reaction with like these loud ass noises, especially in theaters.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Or even if I'm in my room and it's like I watch movies at like 1-2 in the morning, I don't want and like glass breaks and then people just start falling and then there's the strobe light, like
yeah, I know what you mean.
That's not gonna scare me. That just like makes me want to like get in my car and drive somewhere and get away.
No, this shit was like actually scary because you could actually imagine how you would feel in those kind of situations.
And the character, they got so close in multiple scenarios.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So, but we're not going to talk about that. There's some good twists.
There was almost death by corn. I'll say that.
Yeah, there was almost.
Corn almost killed somebody.
Oh man, that was a pretty great scene. So, yeah, I don't know. I just really like this movie. I would say if I had to give it a ranking like out of 10, I would probably give it like a solid 9.5.
Yeah, I'd give this movie a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. The only thing
you go on?
Oh, I was going to say the only thing that I honestly don't really like about this film quite that much is the actual creature.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away anything.
It's scary, but it's not like.
But here's my thing. I felt that it was just kind of uninspired.
Yeah, it looked like a random. Damn, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah,
it looked random.
We won't talk about it.
It just looked really.
It didn't feel very like unique to me.
It looked like an oddball.
Yeah. I think the concept behind it and how it was executed was good. It was pretty much completely CGI, which usually I'm not really that big of a fan of.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, but for this particular like creature, I didn't think it was that big of a deal for it to be all CGI, because once you see it and you understand like its nature and how it's portrayed in the film, you get why it had to be CGI, and I don't mind that too much. But I feel with how the scares occurred with the creature, I think it's possible that it could have been all practical, but it would have been pretty much a completely like different thing.
I agree. So, I was gonna say like maybe in the shots where like its movement wasn't so, erratic.
Yeah.
Maybe like on the, they're not gonna know what I mean. That shot in the basement when it initially came in.
Yeah.
Like that could have been practical. They
like for sure.
Because I mean, you really don't see like, let's say Pumpkinhead for example. You don't really see that many shots of him like.
Yeah, he's not just like sprinting after somebody.
Yeah, like you just kind of see it from his camera angle or someone else's. Like there's just like a noise, and then you hear the.
He's more of like Pumpkinhead's more of like a stalker creature, like really imposing, like just happens to come around the corner or whatever.
Yeah, but these like I don't know. I felt like they could have used practical effects in
at least some shots
when like the monsters were like, let's say in a house for example, or like looking for somebody. Or I get when like during a chase scene why they have to use CGI, but like. They could have went with some even practical effects have come like a huge way since like the 1980s. So like
for sure.
They could have did something practical. I mean, I'm not upset. I mean, it did kind of look.
Yeah, I mean, look compared to a lot of it,
when it finally stopped though and stood still in the basement, you're like CGI. Yeah. Like you're just like they're just looking at nothing and being startled.
I mean, they could have done something like The Relic, which we talked about last week, and we watched that movie after the podcast actually. But The Relic, it did actually have some CGI because there were scenes in that movie where you see like the full creature like in its entirety, and it's just like jumping up on the columns and shit like that. That's obviously CGI, and like showed it running because they can't really make that. A practical creature design like that do those kind of things. Yeah. But there were also scenes in The Ritual where it was like close up on somebody.
The Relic.
Yeah, or like peeking out from behind the corner or something, and that was practical effects, but they also had CGI. So I feel like they could have done the same thing in here. I don't know if it was just an ease of shooting thing.
I was gonna say it's probably the same thing, like you said, like it would like in The Relic when it climbed up the wall.
Yeah,
it would be hard to. It would have been extremely hard.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So that's why they had to use both.
I love to see like the creature from the Relic versus the ones from
Quiet Place. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Oh man, that would be an interesting brawl for sure. I don't know. I think that these guys might win.
I don't think so, bro.
I don't know. It's an interesting thought, but yeah, that was one of the only things I was kind of iffy about in this movie. Like, I feel like there could have been some practical effects. I feel like maybe it could have been a little better with them, but that's like completely my own opinion. So yeah, I don't know. You kind of agree?
Yeah,
sort of.
I don't know. Look, I'm kind of biased because when I started watching horror movies was when I was a small child, and it was the 90s. So almost everything was practical effects,
much, yeah.
besides the Relic. But like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I just grew up like the thing about these practical effects is like they're so cheesy. Like, I'm not saying like when you see a monster, like practical effects maybe like during a kill, for example, they're so cheesy that they look real. You know, you kind of feel uneasy looking at it. You're like, just like we said in what's that movie with the rat? Dead Alive. Dead Alive. Yeah, like in Dead Alive, like that shit made me want to puke because like I don't know, it just.
You could tell it was obviously like special effects stuff, but it was practical, so you could imagine it kind of being real. Like, it was gross.
Yeah, if that was CGI, I would have kind of
been like,
I don't know. We can't just forget about practical effects.
No.
We look what happened, bro. We forget about practical effects, and then what happens? Look, we forgot about toys, and now Toys R Us is shutting down because kids just want to play with fucking tablets. Oh, I got games. I hate you, younger people. Because of you, Toys R Us is closing. I drove by it today and it said going out of business.
Yeah. I mean, practical effects just lend so much more to the cinematography too, actually, because I saw an article with the cinematographer who's actually, I forget his name, but he's manned the camera for a lot of like really good popular films, and he's actually helped out on a bunch of Steven Spielberg's films, and the article was about Ready Player One, which I have seen and I loved that movie. But just because of like the essence of that movie taking place in like this virtual video game world, a lot of the film is pretty much completely CGI. And so he was actually the DP on that movie, and he was talking about, CGI in films, and especially in that movie, he said he contributed only like 40% really of like work to the film, because that was pretty much only how much of the film was like real,
right?
And the rest was all just CGI. And he was like, I mean, if you have CGI like anywhere, you can't really like do much with that cinematography wise, because you're kind of just told like, all right, shoot here, we're gonna do this CGI like in this shot, and you can't really play with like lighting or shadows or anything like that because there's nothing there. Which again was a reason why I feel like they could have used practical effects, at least in some scenes, because they could have been able to manipulate the shadows, in real life, the lighting, maybe some different angles, stuff like that, to make it a little creepier. But they weren't really able to do that much, because a lot of that stuff was just thrown in post-production, and editing. So
see, the thing I don't like about CGI, when it's done right and like it's subtle, that's okay. But like when you have 10 objects in a room and you can clearly tell which one of the objects is CGI because it looked like you took it out of a video game and just threw it into like onto a movie screen.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. It takes a lot away from the movie. Like, CGI has ruined some movies for me.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So that was really my only gripe with it. But I still really liked A Quiet Place. I definitely recommend that you go see it, because it's a pretty, I feel like it's a pretty revolutionary movie, like, already, just because of like its concept and the way it was done. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's out in theaters right now. Yeah,
rewatch value too,
for sure.
Once it comes out on DVD, I'll probably just watch it again.
Yeah, because I feel like maybe there's some like hints in there to like what's really going on, or like more about the creature.
Yeah, there's some Easter eggs in there. We just didn't piece it together.
Yeah, it's hard to see in one watch. So, but yeah, check it out if you've been thinking about it. We definitely recommend that you go see it. But next up, this is actually a pretty good segue from when we were talking about practical effects versus CGI stuff, because this movie is chock full of practical effects.
I think it's only practical effect, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much like 100%. It is The Chopping Block.
Dun dun dun.
and we are talking today about Terrifier.
Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of this. If you haven't, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I didn't know about it until Barnabas told me.
Super indie, like ultra independent, because not a lot of people really have heard about this one. Maybe a little bit more recently now that it was actually released on Blu-ray, but it's still, I feel like, super low key. Like, you have to be like a huge like underground horror fan to have heard about this film. But a lot more people are like sharing stuff now because it's just so crazy.
Oh yeah, I think this should have been more out there.
I agree, but I've heard really nothing but good things from a lot of horror fans, like on Reddit and stuff. And we both like really liked it.
Yeah, man. Initially, I didn't know what to expect. Apparently, this is one of those like grindhouse movies.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, it's got that like style visually.
Yeah, just this cheap, not in a bad way. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like it looked like some dude from like the 1990s grabbed his camera, like early 90s. I'm talking about like the transition from like between 89 and 91. That type of like camera work was done in this movie. I don't know how to explain it, but the atmosphere of this movie is like just really fucking weird. Like from the start, like shit is gonna go down. It starts off with these just two young girls are in this well, the main point, I don't want to, because the beginning part of the movie was kind of part of the end, so we could kind of explain that. But it starts off with these two girls in this diner, and they're just hanging out, and then this weird, scary as shit looking clown with the weirdest 90% gums smile comes
like
along.
The black gums.
Yeah, and
it's
like,
got the weirdest mouth I've ever seen in my life.
And like he comes into this diner, and he just starts smiling at this one girl and like waving at her and
like staring at her like a fucking creeper.
And then at one point he wasn't even smiling anymore. He's just looking at her.
And he's got like this huge like black trash bag full of who knows what.
Yeah.
Like we kind of see what's in it, but they don't know what's in it. It's just weird, But he looks freaky as shit. He's got this huge like gaping mouth, like black gums. He's got like a hook nose and like a really like pointy chin. So it really looks very unnatural, like very inhuman. And he just is wearing this like he has like white face makeup on and like this white bald cap, and he's got this like the little tiny black hat, which I love, the little tiny black hat. But he just looks super like unsettling and weird, and especially when he smiles.
Yeah, if I was walking down,
he just looks evil.
If I was walking down an alley and a guy like this came up to me and just started smiling, like I'd have to like fight him until he stops moving and I stop moving, and then I run away, because like this, I don't know, man. You just can't ignore someone like this. Like I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Yeah. Google Terrifier Art the Clown. You'll see what I mean. This was this movie was what? Was it like a reboot, or what would you say is a reboot?
Yeah, I don't
All Hallows Eve?
I guess kind of like a spin-off.
Yeah.
Because it was inspired by this film. It was an anthology film called All Hallows Eve, released back in 2013. And that movie features this character who is called Art the Clown. And I haven't seen it, so but I wouldn't say from the description that the movie is really like about Art the Clown, but it features 3 different like stories with like this overarching narrative going on about this like person who finds a videotape or something, and like the 3 stories are the videotape, kind of like VHS sort of, but each story features Art the Clown. But Terrifier actually takes that character and constructs an entire cohesive narrative around Art the Clown and his like killing spree, basically, because he stalks these 2 girls seemingly just completely randomly, and he just tries to kill them. So it's just like a super simple concept, but you don't know what the fuck is going on.
You don't even know what he is. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
not at all.
I mean, I thought he was human.
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
I mean, there's no spoilers, but it is kind of ambiguous as to what he is, because we see him get pretty fucked up in this movie. Because like the characters fight back. But it's still ambiguous for other reasons. That you're not actually sure if he's like human or not, which is, even more crazy. Even though he kind of acts like it, like we see him texting at one point or something, and so maybe he's just really aware. I don't know, but
I don't know, man. He's sick.
The character is just crazy. We never hear him talk or even really like make any sound.
He doesn't even scream.
Yeah, he doesn't laugh
like
or
when
anything.
you stab him, he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Myers. Like, he just doesn't react. He reacts, but like, he doesn't make a sound.
So this thing is probably just also
he doesn't
like
even
pure
laugh.
evil.
Like, I mean, he smiles, but like, he doesn't laugh like a clown. He's like a mime. More
that definitely makes him more creepy for sure.
I like the kills. There was a lot of blood, and
it is very gory.
All practical effects, though.
Yeah, it is all practical effects, which big props. I give a round of applause for that. The budget was like pretty low, I'm sure. Like, I don't know how much it was, but I'm sure it was pretty low because I saw some of the behind the scenes, and I mean, not that it was like a cheap production or anything like that, but you know, it wasn't like this big like blockbuster thing. So
I'm pretty sure it's gonna get big because.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
The atmosphere was really, really dark.
It was super unsettling.
Like, you just, I don't know, and the score along with the like, just the lighting in every scene. Like, there was no really light scene. Like, you didn't see any light.
Not really.
There was like just the music was like, you knew something was happening, but then once it happened, it just kept happening. Like, the action in this film was consistent. Once something started, it didn't stop. There was not much suspense like in Halloween. This had a more focus, I think, on the deranged clown's kills, you know, and like type of horrible shit he did to people, like that one girl that got chained.
Yeah. We're not gonna give
Who's
any
the
spoilers
clown?
for that.
David Howard Thornton.
Yeah. So incredible performance by David Thornton portraying Art the Clown. That was, I mean, the other actors were actually like pretty solid, but he's just something else. Like, he's actually portrayed the Joker before in like some fan film or something like that, which I can completely see, you know, because he knows how to play that like deranged clown. But this was a little different because he doesn't have any dialogue. He doesn't even like make any noises. It's completely like physical acting, which is probably my favorite acting because it can just get so crazy. And that's pretty much exactly what happened in this movie. So yeah, big props to David Thornton for his acting here.
Yeah, man, you're a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, he is. He really is. When you see him in the behind the scenes, like, he's obviously talking though, and he kind of seems like a normal guy. But once like the director shouts action, like, that's it. He's gone. He is Art the Clown.
He's completely in character. Like, he looks creepier when he's smiling and all that shit, as opposed to when he's like
being like menacing.
Yeah, like the menacingness isn't really that scary, but like when he does that smile and like his teeth are like half an inch long and his gums are like 2 feet long, and he just, that look in his eyes, I don't know what it is, if it's just the makeup, but
no, I think he's just a really fucking good actor.
I think he's just a weirdo.
Yeah.
Look at that. You see that grin?
Yeah. We're looking at a picture right now, but no, it's great. It's got that grindhouse feel for sure. The soundtrack is excellent. It's got that, you know, like practical gore, and it's really gory. So if you like kind of like splatterfest kind of slasher movies, then you'll really like Terrifier. And just the way it like looks visually, and like the color grading,
it's retro.
It is retro because it's got that like orange hue through the whole movie.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And it's not like quite like sharp, you know. So that was obviously intentional in like the editing.
Like, there's no way you can watch this movie in 4K. This is a 360p movie. Like,
honestly, I think I would love to watch this movie on like, you know, like a small ass TV set, like that 20-inch shit with
the box,
the bunny ear antennas.
Oh my god, yeah.
I feel like that would be perfect.
They should release VHSs for this. I'm serious.
Yeah, I agree.
That shit would be a collector's item.
Cool retro.
It would be cool to get a copy of Terrifier for free on VHS. Hint.
Yeah, so we could review it. Yeah, let you know how that is.
Totally not asking for free merch.
No. So yeah, this episode's chopping block featuring Terrifier, it is definitely not chopped.
Hell no, not chopped. This is
highly recommended.
This is one of the better slashers I've seen recently.
I agree.
Like I said, not too suspenseful, just suspenseful enough at the beginning that you know, like, he's about to do some shit, but you didn't expect how crazy it gets.
No,
like, you're not gonna expect like
a total balls.
He has
to walls.
no remorse. Maybe for like he has the remorse for like, he has fake remorse for like a split second, but
yeah,
he's
just like evil.
This is one of the better slashers I've seen. I liked it better than The Strangers.
Me too.
I liked it better than Just Before Dawn. We see that recently.
Yeah.
I liked it better than Prom Night for sure.
Really? Damn, yeah.
I'm trying to compare this to old slashers. I did not like it better than My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, there's some classes you just can't beat.
That was pretty subtle. But like this is not just a movie that's great for today. This movie is great.
Yeah, it's just it's timeless. Like you could watch this 20 years from now and be like, damn.
Like it's one of those like it's retro. It feels retro, but it's modern. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the only part of the movie that makes you like feel that it's like modern and like not one of those like gritty 80s 90s like splatter movies is like when you see the $20 bill and it has like the holographic shit on it. Like,
well, yeah, it's definitely like set in modern day, but yeah, it looks like it was like filmed in the 90s.
That's what I like. See, we need more. I'm gonna make like the complete switch to like grindhouse style movies. Maybe Giallo too, because Giallo is like those are always great.
Yeah, no, Terrifier was excellent, and we highly recommend it. It is pretty difficult to find. Like you probably won't be able to find it streaming anywhere.
You could get the DVD though.
Yep, they do have a Blu-ray DVD combo pack out that you could actually get from Dread Central. Actually, I think you go through the Epic Pictures website for it, but Dread Central, which is known pretty popularly as a horror news outlet, which we do use for a lot of our news, they actually produced the film or distributed it, whichever. They were the studio behind Terrifier. So that's how you know it's like pretty low key, but you can just go through Epic Pictures or Dread Central and get it. It's totally worth it. It's great. I don't really know what else to say about it.
And like he wasn't a big dude either.
No, yeah, he was like a pretty scrawny guy.
He was scrawny as shit. Like he was like, I would say he was about like 5'9", 5'10", and just like 140 pounds.
Yeah, but he was just super freaky.
He was freaky. He had an arsenal of weapons. He had a gun.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Big props to the makeup and special effects.
I was just going to say great makeup work. Wow, you read my fucking mind.
Yeah. So that is this episode's chopping block. Definitely check out Terrifier. Definitely go check out A Quiet Place. And go watch Basket Case. But don't at us about that shit if you're disturbed. We warned you.
I think if they watch Terrifier
is also very disturbing.
They're both very disturbing. If you want something more like subtle, I guess Quiet Place would do it because it's not like gory.
Or just go watch Teletubbies, wimps.
Yeah, pussy. No.
So why are you even watching or listening to a horror podcast if you're a wimp like that?
Right. I mean, I don't like just gore movies. Like I won't just watch like Saw 4.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever watched Saw 4.
Really? Yeah.
No, I've watched Saw 4.
But I know what you mean.
I kind of watched 5, but it was just, I don't know, after a while, all the gore is just like, all right, bro, I get it. People are getting cut up, like.
Right.
But this had all the classic elements of horror. The creepy stalker. You get that feeling of dread, and then the dread just continues endlessly. It does not stop. I'm telling you, once the crazy shit starts, a lot of shit's going to happen that you did not expect. He's going to pop up from places you did not expect. He's going to do some shit you did not expect. This was a 10 out of 10 movie, I would say. For me, it was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I feel you.
It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, and it wasn't even deep or anything. Like, it was just a fun watch. So definitely check it out if that's kind of what you're looking for. Go buy the Blu-ray. It's worth it.
Instant classic.
Instant classic for sure. So with that, I think pretty much wraps it up for episode number 7.
Oh, yes.
Go check all that stuff out. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Go ahead and follow us. We do have an Instagram page now as well. It's just Grave Discussions. And you can follow us, keep up to date with everything that's going on with our terrible twosome.
Ha ha ha.
And with that, we will see you next time
on Grave Discussions.
This has been an SRD production.